I always preferred driving at night. Fewer cars, fewer distractions. Just me, the road, and the low hum of the engine. After the wedding, I didn't feel like staying with the rest of my cousins at the hotel. Too loud, too many stories, too much wine. I needed air, quiet. So I left. It was a little after 2 a.m., and the highway stretched ahead like a black ribbon, unraveling under my headlights. My GPS said I'd be home in about 2 hours, and I figured I'd take my time. The road was strangely empty. Not a single pair of headlights in either direction. I remember thinking how oddly peaceful it was, until the music stopped. Not like the playlist ended. It just cut off. My car's stereo froze for a moment. Then the screen went black, and a quiet hiss of static came through. No big deal, I told myself. Probably a glitch. I reached to turn it off, but the power button didn't work. A minute later, the air grew cold inside the car. I checked the dashboard. No AC was on. Windows were up. Still, it felt like the temperature dropped by 10 degrees. I rubbed my arms and leaned forward slightly. And that's when I saw the sign. Exit 34, rest area 2 miles. Weird. I'd driven this route at least a dozen times and never seen that sign before. But it was late, and maybe I just hadn't paid attention before. I didn't think much of it. Exactly 2 miles later, a narrow exit ramp appeared. I almost passed it, but something tugged at me. The stiffness in my legs, the strange silence, the cold, and I turned. The ramp dipped sharply, curving between thick trees that loomed on either side like watching figures. My headlights caught nothing but fog and branches, and soon the paved road gave way to cracked concrete. Then I saw it, a small clearing with an old-fashioned rest stop. There was a dimly lit restroom building, a couple of benches, a single street lamp buzzing above, and one other car parked at the far end. An old gray sedan, headlights off. The whole place looked like it hadn't been updated in decades. I parked a few spaces away, engine idling. The other car didn't move, no door opened, no one got out. I waited. Eventually, I stepped out. Feeling the night air hit me like ice. The silence was deafening. Not just quiet, dead. No crickets, no wind, no hum of distant cars, and still, that heavy cold. I glanced at the gray sedan as I walked past. It was coated in dust, the kind that takes weeks to build up. But the tires looked clean and the engine was running. I squinted. No one was inside. I told myself maybe the driver stepped away to use the restroom, so I kept walking. As I reached the restroom door, it creaked open by itself, slowly, like it had been waiting. Inside, the lights flickered. The sinks were stained, the mirror cracked. One of the stalls at the end was half open, swaying just slightly. I leaned forward to look, but it was empty. Still, I felt watched. I turned quickly and walked out. That's when I heard it, a soft knock. I froze, turned around slowly. The restroom door swung shut behind me on its own. I jogged back toward my car, trying not to run. The street lamp above flickered, casting jittery shadows across the lot. I got into the car, locked the doors, and tried the ignition. Click. Nothing. Tried again. Still nothing. I gripped the wheel and sat in silence, heart thudding. That's when I saw it, through the rearview mirror. Someone standing behind my car. Not walking, not moving, just standing. Their features were hidden in the dark, but they were too tall, their shoulders too thin. I couldn't tell if it was a man or woman. Then the street lamp went out. Darkness swallowed everything. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I sat there, staring into the mirror, waiting for it to move. But it never did. Then the car started. Just like that. Engine humming like nothing happened. I didn't even put on my seatbelt. I slammed the car into reverse, swung around, and shot up the exit ramp, tires screeching. I didn't look back. I didn't dare. The highway never looked so welcoming. I drove for miles, maybe 15, before I started to feel the blood return to my face. I slowed, breathing hard, and finally looked in the rearview mirror. Nothing but road behind me. No one. No car, no sign. I wanted to believe I imagined it. That fatigue and isolation had played tricks on my mind, until a week later, I searched online. I don't even know why. I typed, Highway 6 Exit 34 Rest Stop, and there it was. Exit 34 was permanently closed in 2003. The article said a family went missing. A couple and their teenage son. They had stopped at the rest area. Their car was found days later, covered in dust, keys still in the ignition. But the family was never found. I kept telling myself it was over. that I was safe, but I didn't believe it. Something inside me knew. Things weren't the same anymore. Something followed me back. They say rain cleanses everything, the streets, the air, even the soul. But that night the rain felt different. It was heavy, cold, and relentless, as if the sky was trying to drown the earth. I was driving back from a friend's house far out in the countryside. It was late, close to midnight, and the rain had been pouring for hours. My wipers struggled to keep up, and the fog blurred the winding road ahead. I should have stayed the night. I kept telling myself that. About 20 minutes from town, my car sputtered and died, just like that. Lights off, engine silent, stranded in the middle of nowhere, no signal. Just the sound of water hammering the roof, and the faint croak of frogs in the distance. I spotted an old wooden house up ahead, barely visible through the downpour. No lights, no movement, but it was shelter. I grabbed my flashlight and ran for it, my boots sinking into the muddy ground. The porch groaned under my weight. I knocked once, twice, no answer. I tried the door, unlocked. I hesitated, heart pounding, then stepped inside. The air was musty, damp. The furniture looked like it hadn't been touched in years, covered in white sheets, dust thick in the corners. But what struck me most was the silence. Even the rain seemed quieter in there, like the house was swallowing sound. I called out, "Hello? Anyone home?" Nothing. I was dripping wet, freezing. I decided to wait out the storm and explain myself if someone showed up. I sat on a faded couch and tried to stay warm. That's when I heard it. Footsteps upstairs. Slow, deliberate. I froze, my mind raced. Maybe someone was home, maybe they didn't hear me. I stood and called out again, louder this time. Still nothing. Then the footsteps came again, but heavier now. Closer. Moving toward the top of the stairs. I turned my flashlight toward the staircase, but the beam flickered. The batteries were dying. Then a voice, soft, barely a whisper, drifted down from above. "You shouldn't be here." I couldn't breathe. I stepped back, heart pounding in my ears. "Who's there?" I shouted, trying to sound braver than I felt. The answer came not in words, but in movement. Something stepped into view at the top of the stairs. A shape. Human, but wrong. Its head was tilted, limbs too long, swaying like a puppet in the wind. I didn't wait to see more. I bolted out the door and into the rain, my feet slipping in the mud. I didn't stop running until I saw headlights. A truck, slowing as it approached. The driver rolled down his window. "You okay?" I nodded, barely able to speak. He glanced past me toward the house and frowned. "You came out of that place?" I looked back. The house was dark, still, silent. "That house burned down 20 years ago," the man said slowly. "Lightning struck it during a storm. Family never made it out." I felt my stomach drop. I turned back again, but the house was gone. Nothing stood there now but a blackened hollow field, soaked in rain. The house, the porch, the steps, the broken window, the crooked chandelier inside, all of it was gone. In its place was nothing but an empty, ash-black field, overgrown with weeds, soaked by rain. I took a step forward, confused, my breath clouding in the cold air. "I was just inside," I whispered, mostly to myself. The driver didn't say anything. He just stared at the field, then at me. "You're lucky," he said finally, his voice quiet. "Others who go in, they don't always come back." The way he said it, so matter-of-factly, sent another chill down my spine. I didn't ask what he meant. He drove me back to town in silence, only the rhythmic beat of the wipers filling the space between us. When he dropped me off at the gas station near my place, I offered him my name and a shaky, "Thank you." He just looked at me strangely and said, "Hope you dry off." Then he drove off into the storm. I stood under the flickering neon lights, staring at the reflection of the rain pooling around my shoes. My phone buzzed. Signal restored. I called a friend for a ride home. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the voice. "You shouldn't be here." Not angry, not threatening, warning. It wasn't trying to scare me. It was trying to protect me. So the next day, against my better judgment, I drove back to where the house had stood. There was no field, no road leading to it, just thick woods on either side of the highway, unbroken, like it had never been there at all. but I remember the floorboards, the cold air, the way the figure moved at the top of the stairs. And when I got home that night, there was mud on my living room carpet. Long, thin footprints, not mine. And on the mirror above the hallway sink, written in the fading fog from my shower, "You came back. I'm living a normal life, but I just can't seem to forget this. Please take care."